With us this afternoon, and he brings to us his signature layered crumb cakes. So welcome on in, Jimmy. Good to have you.
Good to be here.
So this really is something that is truly a signature for you.
Yes, it is.
Because you use kind of a special baking technique.
Right.
You layer your crumb cake,
right.
And you have a choice today between the sour cream and chocolate chip crumb cake or the cinnamon crumb cake.
Right.
So your option, you're going to get two.
Right.
Of those crumb cakes. And so, Jimmy, what does, make your crumb cakes special?
Well, I like to talk, I like to say that my technique is just as important as the recipe.
Okay.
And one of the things I love to do when I'm baking crumb cake is I like to do what I call a layered approach. And that is to put a layer of cake down and then to put a layer of filling in the cake and then put another layer on top. So this way you get the true old-fashioned coffee cake feel of swirled filling inside the cake. Then after that, in this case, I'm putting the sour cream chocolate chip crumble on top of that cake. That is what you see is cocoa, brown sugar, and cinnamon. And it's not a big chunky crumb, it's more what they call a crumble.
Like a dusting.
That's right. And this cake is, some cakes are meant to go in the microwave, some aren't. This cake, after you slice it, a scant 5 seconds.
Okay.
I mean, just 5. You don't want to heat it up so it's really gooey, but it's the way we bake it, and what we bake it in, by the way, is what makes the cake so delicious.
Well, we're looking at some slices right now,
yes.
Jimmy, and just looking at it, I haven't touched it, I haven't eaten it, you can see how moist these are.
Yes.
You know, when I think of crumb cake, I think of dry crumbs.
Dry.
That is not what you delivered to us here.
Dry is not an acceptable word at QVC, believe me, I know.
So really, Jimmy's signature recipes and techniques create this moist, delicious crumb cake. Do you mind if I take a taste?
Absolutely. So when you cut, you can see it's extremely dense. See, I'm actually kind of pushing it through because it's that dense. And yeah, definitely, let's get you a bite.
And by the way, this one cake will serve 10. You get 2 cakes.
Right.
So you're going to have a total of 20 servings.
There you go.
All right, I'm going in. So this is going to be your sour cream chocolate chip.
Pretty darn good, isn't it?
That's, yeah, pretty darn good.
It's actually the first scratch recipe I learned from my mentor way back in 1989 when I opened up my first store. And my mentor, who was an 8th generation baker, believed very heavy in sour cream. Everything we did, from our sweet doughs to our cakes to our muffins, had sour cream in it. And that's what this is.
So this is not like overly sweet.
No.
But you do get the sweetness from those chips in there.
That's right.
And Jimmy, I love how moist this is, but it's not like dense and heavy.
Right.
So I love that this is going to be a nice kind of accompaniment to my cup of coffee or tea in the morning. For me, this would be breakfast on the run.
In the old days, and I don't know if you remember, I don't know if you're old enough to remember when your parents actually kept cake in the house for company.
Yeah, under that glass dome.
Right,
yeah.
that you weren't allowed to touch. And that's what this cake is. That's what both cakes are, as a matter of fact, in that they stay wonderfully well. Now, let's talk about what they're baked in. They're baked in this paper, and I have fallen in love with this paper. This company makes these baking papers. I bake my cinnamon rolls in it, and I'm baking these cakes in it. And why? Paper is actually not a good conductor of heat. Not like if you think of a cake pan that's made out of aluminum or steel or whatever. So you tend to get a really soft outer edge on the cake.
Versus cooked hard.
Versus cooked hard. So it's like every piece is the center piece, is nice and moist.
Right, nobody's thinking, oh, I don't want that end right there.
Right. So, some people like to eat their cake a little on the stale side so they could dip it in coffee, but in this case, you're not going to be. In fact, this was one of my father's favorite cakes. He used to cut a slice and leave it out. So it would stale so he could dunk it in his coffee.
Well, remember, this is a choice. So you can get this delicious sour cream chocolate chip cake or the cinnamon crumb cake.
Right.
Take a look. So how would you describe the cinnamon?
The cinnamon crumb cake, had I brought it with me, is as many of you are familiar, like the 18 count. It's our yellow pudding cake, which is topped with our cinnamon crumb cake.
You had me at pudding.
And layered with with our cinnamon roll filling inside the cake. Same deal, baked in the great paper. It bakes so that the outer edges are nice and soft. And then, by the way, there's no real need, if you don't want to to peel away the paper. You could actually slice right through the cake. In fact, I like to keep the paper on because it does
help it retain.
It helps it stay a little bit moist, but you can see that the knife will go right through the paper with no problem.
Very nice.
Yeah, it slides right through, no problem. And you can just take it as you need.
Well, you're getting two-pound cakes. So you're getting 4 pounds of this moist, delicious crumb cake. So as you said, maybe I keep it on hand for when company arrives, or I dive in. When it does arrive, Jimmy, what are like our storage options?
Okay.
Can we freeze?
You can definitely freeze, and I'm going to suggest, as I always do, and I don't know the reason why, my cinnamon rolls, my crumb cakes, even my muffins, they're going to be shipped to you fresh, not frozen. And when you receive them, I always suggest put them right in the freezer, whether you think you're going to eat them right away or not, because after they go through the freeze and the thaw, I can't explain it. The cake gets even more moist. It kind of sets up, and there's a total different kind of mouthfeel when you eat them. And oh, by the way, I neglected to mention, you see those chocolate chips, real chocolate chips. I don't use, in the bakery trade, when chocolate went way up, a lot of guys switched to what they call compound coatings, which is kind of a chocolate flavored drop. These are real chips. These are semi-sweet chips, and as you can see, I go out of my way to make sure you get plenty of chocolate chips in every slice of cake.
And I do taste the chocolate in the chips. So it is this true rich chocolatey taste, kind of sprinkled in with that moist cake. This is a layered crumb cake. That's the difference. That's why these are so popular. Pardon me. And we have this available with auto delivery. Auto delivery means you'll get a new shipment every 90 days for up to a year if you so choose, and it's free shipping and handling with every additional shipment. So choose between the sour cream and chocolate chip or the cinnamon crumb cake or combo, where you get one of each.
Combo is the most famous of them all.
Well, hey, you get to try them both.
You get to try them both. And what you'll also see is if you take this cake, by the way, you can actually heat up a skillet, put a little butter on it, just like grilled cheese, put it face down and get a kind of a crust, an outer crust on it, so you can get that kind of chocolatey, ooey gooey goodness.
Okay, I never would have thought of that. I like that idea though, adding a little butter to my cake.
Come on over to the house.
I mean, but you could just see how moist this is. Yes. If you would like to see the cinnamon crumb cake, head to QVC.com and you can search the item number M54571. Well, Jimmy, thank you so much. Good to see you. And then we're going to see you a little bit later today as well. All right, and coming up in about 7 minutes, we have a top find from Mama Mancini. These are actually award-winning mozzarella stuffed meatballs. These won the QVC Customer Choice Award.